Hello, Adam.
Yes,
What are you doing?
I am looking intently at our viewers,
Ah, okay.
and they appreciate this. Hello there.
So once again, we are filming at the Hunter School
Yeah,
of Stuff and Stuff.
the Hunter School of Stuff and Stuff.
And as you can see behind us, somebody has stolen the Chrysler Building.
And every other building, or perhaps heaven is ascending upon us.
Descending.
No, it's heaven. It can do whatever it wants.
Okay.
That's how heaven works.
Mhm.
It's magical.
So anyway, before we touch upon the issue number 2s that came out this week, a few days ago,
Because he hasn't read them.
I've been very busy. Comic-Con started yesterday, and I went yesterday, and I'm going today, and I'm going over the weekend. But while I have a 1 hour or so, 2 hour break from class, we'll review this one, because the game's coming out Tuesday. We're getting it Monday. I already played it at Comic-Con a bit. And, so this is a prequel to the game, Batman Arkham City.
Summary of all that, he's apologizing for having not read the number 2s yet.
Yeah. But we figure this is topical, because the game's coming out.
This came out on just this week, Wednesday.
Yeah, this is the collected trade paperback edition.
So this is all 5 issues of the tie-in Batman Arkham City series, which came out over the summer by Paul Dini, as well as a collection of 5 digital chapters, which are smaller and don't tie into the main arc of the story.
And have different art style.
And yeah, they have different artists.
And then in the back you have...
Still all by Paul Dini. Well, I think we can get into the back
Yeah.
later, but there's bonus stuff in the back.
Yeah.
They have a tendency to do that. But for now...
Oh, and it comes with the digital issues, so if you wanna...
What?
No, like, it comes, like you could... It comes with the... I think you could have them online too, like the...
No, it doesn't.
download.
Where?
Doesn't it say with the thing? Oh, no,
No, it's in the book.
Ah, okay.
Didn't you read this book?
Yeah, I just didn't understand what that one page meant.
Ah. Well, now that that's taken care of, what is Batman Arkham City?
So, Batman Arkham City is a video game.
That has not come out yet, but will be coming out next week
It is
as of now.
the sequel to the very acclaimed Batman Arkham Asylum.
Which was pretty good.
It was incredibly good.
I had problems with Bane.
Yeah, but we can...
I had problems with the game. I think that the fights kind of were too easy, and the bosses were all very underwhelming.
You're Batman, of course the fights are going to be easy.
I still enjoyed it immensely, but we're not really reviewing Arkham Asylum right now. We're talking about Arkham City, the game.
So, it is the sequel
The
to...
sequel, and what's the premise of Arkham City, the game?
And the premise of Arkham City. Well, in Arkham Asylum, by the end, both Blackgate Security, Prison, and...
See, this is the interesting thing. This is actually something that we were talking about.
Yeah.
But continue.
Okay, both Blackgate, Prison, and Arkham Asylum were heavily damaged, either before or over the course of Arkham Asylum. So, instead of rebuilding both the prisons, Quincy Sharp, who was the warden of Arkham Asylum, who is now the mayor of Gotham, decides to quarantine off a part of Gotham City to be inhabited only by criminals, and not just criminals, or insane criminals or super criminals, but anyone who has a criminal record or has had a criminal record in the past is going to be quarantined with people like the Joker and Penguin and Two-Face in this part of the city that is just a no man's land.
Yeah, I think it's interesting saying a no man's land. It is very reminiscent of the No Man's Land storyline. It's interesting that it's a system with no cells, no real containment, no order, just sort of a private militia making sure that people don't kill each other too much.
Yeah.
And who are authorized to use lethal force. It's interesting, if you've seen Jurassic Park, this is kind of the Lost World sequel. It's Jurassic Park, again, but this time, rather than letting the dinosaurs escape, you just don't put them in fences to begin with.
Or kind of Salvation Running.
Yeah.
Where you have all the villains together in one place, but...
I'll get into that at some point.
You also have a lot of innocent people.
It's interesting that Noah mentions that Blackgate was destroyed and Arkham was heavily damaged. I never really got that sense when playing the game Arkham Asylum, because it seems that by the end, Batman pretty much had the asylum under wraps, and they pretty much had it... I'm not going to say completely contained, because Arkham Asylum, even on the best days, is never completely contained, but they had it pretty much under control, that it's not that the asylum is in a state...
Yeah, but they had nowhere to put
Hang on, let me finish.
Okay.
was not in a state of not being usable, as well as the fact that in this book that we're reading, they do have most of the prisoners already contained somewhere that they need to actually then transfer them to the Arkham City complex that they're building. But the reason that this comic was created was to kind of explain, outside of the Arkham City game itself, the kind of complex transition from Arkham Asylum to something as hard to wrap your head around as Arkham City.
It's kind of an interval between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
a tie-in. So what's the premise of this book?
So the premise is that Arkham City has kind of just been built, and by built we mean they built
No,
a giant
from the
wall.
beginning.
Oh, from Arkham Asylum?
No, from the beginning of this.
Oh, from the beginning of this.
Why do they build Arkham City?
Because Mayor Quincy Sharp is kind of being used by...
No. What's the incident that leads to Arkham City being created?
It was the
There's an
events of
attack on the life of Mayor Quincy Sharp, the warden from previous
They were
game.
already planning to go to Arkham City, but
That's what really launches it. That's what gets
the public.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
really sets it all moving. So, the point is that I think what this does really good setting up is that even within Gotham, with Titan, the venom-like serum from Arkham Asylum flooding the streets of Gotham still, in small quantities but significant quantities, people don't feel safe in Gotham, even less so than they did in the past, which creates sort of the grounds for them to go ahead with this. So, I guess you could continue
Okay.
from there. I just wanted to get that out of
So,
the way because I think that's kind of the most interesting part of it.
Okay, so Mayor Quincy Sharp decides to build this, but it's not entirely of his own accord.
Mhm.
He's being used by...
Someone who stays in the shadows for 4 issues, except on the cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, well, on the back cover.
No, but
This guy.
I'll get into the details of that when we
Okay.
get into the actual book itself. So this guy,
Yep, and who is also coincidentally the supposed big bad of the Arkham City game.
and who is also in this story the psychiatrist of Sharp himself,
Mhm.
and who is the warden, the new warden of Arkham City in the game.
Yeah.
So then, what happens over the course of this series?
So, Batman is, of course, suspicious about this whole thing. He doesn't like the idea. And as Bruce Wayne, he tries to stop it, like, publicly. While as Batman, he tries to kind of sabotage or stop it from the inside. And, so as Bruce Wayne, we see him, like, gather information on the therapist, on Quincy Sharp trying to, like, publicly denounce Arkham City.
Meanwhile, this mysterious therapist is gathering information on Batman
Mhm.
and is monitoring his every move so that he can better be prepared to fight him,
Yeah.
which is something that he's clearly planning on doing from the beginning.
And Batman breaks into Arkham City trying to kind of find information from the inside. So does another kind of anti-hero, anti-villain, also breaks in, meets up with Batman. And we see that inside Arkham City, the Joker, Penguin, and some other supervillains are all kind of dividing into fractions and trying to get control of
Fractions.
factions. I meant factions. They're
They're
dividing.
No, but that's what you do. You divide into fractions.
Yeah, but they're dividing into factions to try and gain control of Arkham City.
They're forming prison gangs, only they're also street gangs.
And
I still don't
malicious.
understand how anyone...
And malicious.
Yeah, that's it. Because there's trafficking going
Yeah.
on all over the place of not just like drugs and Titan and stuff, but guns is
People.
a big thing. People... I'm not sure if we've really gotten into that aspect, but
Oh.
I'm thinking of the Huntress miniseries, which deals with human
No.
trafficking. But, yeah,
But
they're
they're trying to
definitely...
recruit people, so it's like people are a commodity. in
They're
Arkham
definitely...
City.
I mean, it's true. They're trying to build up their forces for kind of an all-out gang war between the Joker and the Penguin. And that's pretty much where this goes. We get these ideas. They're developed a lot, but naturally, since it's not a standalone series, it's just more of a tie-in. It doesn't have any conclusion. The conclusion is Arkham City opens, and then the game is released.
And Arkham City is supposed to just start, if you haven't read this, Arkham City starts with Batman breaking into Arkham City again, and the gangs are already formed. So this kind of explains why gangs are formed, or how they were started, why Arkham City exists, and all that.
And also, surprise, surprise, it is revealed that, okay, first off, just let me show you this, because do you mind?
Go ahead.
I love the way that they set up who this mysterious therapist figure is. Because, first off, everyone knows because he was in the trailer for the Arkham City game before this comic even came out. Secondly,
I think he was in the first trailer.
Yeah, no, I think that was like one of the first trailers. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, so they show him in the shadows and the car right here. Also, and this is great. If there's in this entire issue, I think it's not until the last issue that we actually see his face really fully, what have you. I think there's a good.
Well, until he's revealed.
Until he's officially revealed. It's not until very late on. Okay, I think the ending of issue 4 is a really good one.
The one where he goes public?
Hang on. No, that's issue 5. But in issue 4, before he's been publicly revealed to be... the ending of issue 4 finally reveals his face. Do you mind if I show this? And there's really no spoilers here because... this is the big reveal on issue 4. This is the cover of issue 2.
Yeah.
That they
don't really bother hiding it.
Not that they would, not that I'd expect them to. What I find surprising is that they seem to try at times. It's not like just shadow for effect. It's actually just kind of hiding his identity somewhat, as though they kind of half wanted to, half didn't.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we've summarized this for like 12 minutes. Your impressions?
I don't think... I like this comic, I liked reading it, and I enjoyed it, but I don't think it would have worked if I weren't going to buy Arkham City and didn't want to find the conclusion. It does feel like an interpol. It doesn't have any beginning, doesn't really have a conclusion. So... if you're buying Arkham City, or if you have played Arkham Asylum and you're thinking about buying Arkham City, I recommend it, because it is good, but if you don't care about the games at all and are just looking kind of for a Batman arc, then it's disappointing.
I have to agree with that. First, I do want to say things that I think they did really well. Not so much necessarily in terms of story, but in terms of characterization. I think they really... setting up Hugo Strange...
as this kind of chess master.
And yes, surprise, it's Hugo Strange. Interestingly enough, I think setting him up as the big, overarching villain of the story is interesting because, first off, he's not a very popular character, and I'm not a big fan of his, but I love seeing, adaptations where more C and D-list villains become major prominent characters, so I'm, really excited about that. But actually making him into sort of a serious, very sinister character, I think they did it well in the first trailer.
Yeah.
But in terms of, story-wise, showing why he's a true threat to Batman, they set that up really well. If anything, he is probably the main focus of these 5 issues. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost more about him. It's definitely not about Batman.
No.
But, yeah, Batman himself is just kind of hanging around. I mean, he's doing things, but he doesn't really make any progress or get anywhere or achieve anything. So it's more like...
there's actually this one really funny splash page that kind of summarizes all of what Batman does in this comic.
Show us.
Okay.
But,
yeah, this is kind of a spoilery review of the comic.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that plot-wise there's very much to spoil, because here's my interpretation of it. It's a good, enjoyable comic if you want to see sort of what's going on between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, if you want to...
Ah, here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
This one page is all of Batman's progress.
Yeah, that's pretty much...
I'll read it to you. I thought I had devised the perfect entry into Arkham City. Secluded, nondescript, the old thug's shell formed an ideal housing for the Batboat, allowing me to come and go as I pleased. That worked a total of once.
Everything works a total of once for him, because he is fighting Hugo Strange, and Hugo Strange...
is very smart.
And also he's adaptive. He learns from watching Batman, and he studies him, and I think he's kind of gay for him.
And Batman doesn't realize that Hugo Strange has been studying until it's a little too late to,
which is strange, because it's Batman. You'd think he'd be expecting that.
Yeah.
You have cameras? but But yeah, so I think that it's enjoyable as sort of an interquel. It's enjoyable if you want to get sort of more of that background, and I think especially it does a good job of building up Arkham City. But at the same time, it feels a lot more like an advertisement than a story. It's almost like
it's
very
a damn
well done.
good advertisement.
It's a very, very well done extended trailer. Because I get the feeling that plot-wise, I doubt there's anything in here that I wouldn't be able to get through mild exposition just from buying Arkham City. So they wouldn't put anything in it that's too essential to the story, so you're not going to get much in terms of plot. So it's kind of superficial there.
Yeah.
Still enjoyable. I mean, especially each individual issue will have a little story to itself, or a little aspect of story to itself that's kind of... For example, when Joker gets taken to Arkham City, just the sequence of that happening.
Yeah, and about that, it's very... I mean, Paul Dini wrote this. I love Paul Dini. He was, like, kind of the co-producer, or... He was kind of Bruce Timm's partner in crime with the DC Animated Universe, which I just love very, very much.
Who doesn't?
So, I mean, the writing, it's very Dini-esque, and it's very good. You could tell just by the way, like, in that scene with the Joker, you can tell, like, that's not supposed to be a Jack Nicholson Joker or a Heath Ledger Joker. That is a Dini Joker.
Yeah, still a very dark Joker, I think.
Yeah.
It's odd because it does... also, we get to see the Joker's relationship with the guards post post Arkham Asylum. So you get interesting little glimpses like that. And I think moving on to the digital chapters, which were also part of here, I would say that they're kind of separate because they're not part of the main arc of the 5-issue series, but at the same time, the arc itself is kind of very loosely defined. So you could insert them in anywhere, and they would make sense.
The digital chapters, by the way, are kind of character vignettes.
I actually think they're the most interesting thing.
They are very interesting. Like, you have, where does it explain?
They show us very little things, but very little interesting things.
You have, there are 5 digital chapters that are included in the book. And you can tell when you reach them because they have a completely different art style. That is kind of more, reminiscent of the actual animated series, I thought.
The animated series? Well, also there are different artists for a few of them. So, for example, show just the last one.
Just the last...
No, the last digital chapter, just to show how the art changes. Yeah, it's that one.
The Bane one?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's...
Okay.
It's Bane
and some guy on Titan. But the digital chapters, as you can see here, there are character vignettes. You have Hugo Strange, Cut and Run, which I think is Carpenter. Riddle Me, which
the Wonderland gang is in this.
Riddle Me, which of course is Riddler. Guardian Angel is
Red
Robin. No, it's just Robin, not Red Robin. And Fall of Titan is the Bane story. And they're all kind of these little vignettes of how each character is going or is introduced to Arkham City.
Well, I mean, not so much.
Instead of just overall plot.
It's interesting because, for example, they answer questions, too. For example, how did Riddler get to his position of computer mastermind doing crazy things in Arkham City? This explains it.
Yeah.
Why does Hugo Strange have an army of soldiers who are willing to shoot to kill at Batman? This explains it. What's happening to all of the smaller characters and villains and such who aren't big, tremendous, incredibly powerful people who are being thrown into Arkham City?
That explains it.
It explains it.
What's Robin doing? That explains it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But, so overall, I think that's also very satisfying. It's, I think, good that they added it in to the book because they needed something to fill it out, because it's only the main Arkham City series is only a 5-issue arc.
And unlike a lot of trade paperbacks,
miniseries. It's not a paperback. It's a hardcover.
Yeah, it's a hardcover. But unlike a lot of these collected editions that are kind of cheaper than to buy all the comics separately, this one costs $23.
So they had to shove in some extra stuff. Show them the things at the end.
What things at the end?
Those.
Oh, okay. So also, aside from just the digital comics that you get a lot of concept art.
And is that concept art for this or concept art for Arkham City?
I think this is concept art for Arkham City, the game.
I haven't really taken a look through here, but it is...
Yeah, concept art gallery for Arkham City, the video game.
It is probably the most interesting thing. One thing that I find kind of interesting is that there are a lot of characters who we know are going to be in Arkham City who aren't even mentioned in this.
Yeah, like we have... Okay, well, I want to show non-spoilery characters. Here is Hugo Strange and Riddler. So I always like these concept art gallery things. I just always...
Two-Face.
You have Two-Face and...
Not enough Two-Face.
Not enough to... You have all the proposed character models for Harley.
It's interesting because with Arkham City having such a tremendous character base, and with this comic not having necessarily a very big plot that needs to focus on too many characters, it's odd that they didn't, at least in the background, throw in more of those people who are going to be in Arkham City.
Although
to
they do throw in some nice little background Easter eggs. There's one in particular.
Yes, sure.
Gonna try and find it.
You could just describe it.
No, I wanna... Okay, I'll just describe it while I'm looking for it. You see Batman driving the Batmobile, and he passes a street sign, and the street sign says 1700 Broadway, which is where DC headquarters is located in New York.
It's that way.
Yeah. So, I thought that was... Here it is. Oh no, it's not Batman driving the Batmobile, it's Hugo Strange in a car. We see Broadway 1700, which is... So, I still don't get where 1700 Broadway is in relation to MTA.
But that's in New York, this is Gotham. So why don't we talk about the art?
Okay.
Which you seem to have completely forgotten about.
A little bit. The art, it's...
The interesting thing is how incongruous it is, somewhat, with the style of both Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, the games.
And just modern Batman comics overall. No, I think so. Like, you could... Like, these panels... but of course, even the Batman comics we reviewed, all the number ones, or at least a lot of them, they've been kind of dark with heavy focus on shadows. And
this over here...
I'll just show the first page. It's very kind of bright and colorful.
It's definitely not bright.
It's vivid.
It's vivid. It's intense.
It's pastel almost.
Not pastel. You want to see pastel? I'll show you pastel. But
like,
it's got more
intense. You can just flip to any page, and it's just very colorful. Not a lot of emphasis on dark and shadows.
I think it's definitely dark and shadows. I think the difference is...
Here's another good panel.
That's a page.
Page.
No, not page. That's a cover.
Whatever,
But anyway, actually, I would disagree with Noah. I think that if you look at, for example, this here, I wouldn't generally describe this as a colorful page. It uses light, yes, it uses intense colors, but the shadowing is still there. It's just a very different style. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that same sort of, I don't know, it doesn't have the same sort of gothic feel that a lot of the Batman comics that have that sort of dark style do. I think it has a much more modern look to it. I think it's interesting because most of the lights that you will see, like here you have a car with lights on it driving down the street. Most lights you will see will have a very electric feel to it, so electric feel. But
I kind of want to compare it to Action Comics in the way...
I would definitely, especially for example on a page like this, the way that the coloring is, I would definitely compare it to the new Action Comics. You have a lot of different kinds of lighting, a lot of more innovative light sources. Not very much daylight, interestingly enough. But overall, I think it works, and you do have more intense colors. But again, I think it's appropriate for the story itself.
Yeah.
And what about just the style of drawing?
The style of drawing,
they do retain a lot of the models from the games. For example, Joker is the Joker from Arkham Asylum, which is not a Joker that we ever really see in comics. It's usually a different design.
But I like the overall character models, but I think that a lot of the characters are just kind of too thick. Like, they look kind of Dark Knight Returns type kind of, like, thickness. Like, this is the cover of issue number 1. The covers do retain the same art style. They're just a bit more detailed or sheen or whatever.
It's a very
polished.
shiny
Yeah.
series.
I just they. I mean, I like it. It's just a bit like sometimes it's just too kind of muscly, and I'm not going to show any of the Titan thing. Okay, here's a good one. I think overall I like the design. I just think it could stand to be a bit more slim.
I mean, I think the interesting thing we're going to have to see is, I think how it compares in terms of tone to the game itself. Because I think that, do you want to show Frank West?
Oh yes, this is Bruce Wayne. Right there, and he looks like Frank West from Dead Rising.
It's there's some unusual choices there.
Yeah.
The Bruce Wayne model seems kind of off. Also, there was one model that I really hated. You want to show?
Which one?
Rob.
Oh yeah, and I complained about this, and you said I was stupid for complaining about it.
No, I don't mind it in the other. Well, we'll get into that.
Okay. Well, here's Robin's design.
Yeah.
And he looks too
marine.
He looks too marine.
No, but show him later on, because the digital comics have different authors. Sorry, digital chapters have different authors, and artists. It's all Paul Dini, but different artists. I think the one that when we see him appear there, you want to show that page?
Okay.
I think that's a very different design. That feels a lot more like Batman, just in terms of the design of it. But
and
I
even
think
his stance.
I think his appearance there, it doesn't bother me as much. But there are some interesting things that they'll do. For example, I am going to say, first off, it seems that they're making Hugo Strange into kind of a German from just the trailer and hearing his voice. So when you have Hugo Strange giving his speech, you have him standing up at the platform on the podium with all the red and the colors of Arkham City are red, black, and white. So you get kind of a Nazi-like thing to it. And this is really, I think, about... He is essentially creating a...
No, you can show him just this panel over here. He's kind of dressed in the same long coat or type coat that Roger Waters wears for the Wall concerts. And, of course, in that concert, the story is that the main character, Pink, is kind of being abused by the music industry and just everything in his life, so he decides to become a fascist.
No, I was going to say, very heavy fascist tones from Hugo Strange. And it's things like that, it's details like that I think are very well done. So even if some of the aesthetics might be a bit, as Noah said, uncomfortable looking, overall I think there are little details that really do help set up the theme. And since theme and tone are really what this is going for, I would say it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Not that, it's not, I don't know if it's completely appropriate, not even necessarily appealing, but just appropriate. But at the same time, I think there are a lot of elements of it that work. So overall, what would you say?
Overall,
where would you?
I want to give it.
On
I'd like to give it 2 scores. As a standalone, maybe a C, because there really isn't much plot. It's all just kind of an in between. But as a tie-in to the rest of the Arkham City, Arkham Asylum story, probably a B, because it does expand a lot on the universe. I mean, it's nothing that couldn't be done in game, but the fact that they did bother to expand it, they gave, especially the digital issues, gave each character a little background on how they got there, gave more kind of an introduction to Hugo Strange and what Hugo Strange is going to be like in this game, what role he's playing. And it's pretty, and I like it, and the characterization is great, the dialogue, I think, is really well written. Paul Dini.
Yeah, overall, overall, if I had to give it a score as just a standalone book, I'd probably give it like a D+, because it has no beginning and no end. I mean, if I were just rating it on its own, that would be terrible. The end, of course, is Arkham City, though. So as a tie-in, or better yet, as an advertisement, I would give it probably a B, maybe a B+. I'm thinking maybe more towards a B, because there are some things that do seem a little bit nonsensical, even when they try to explain them. For example, how the public got behind Arkham City, that I just find really hard to buy.
There was a supervillain attack.
Wow. And not even a supervillain attack, just a Titan thugs
And then the
attack.
villains exploded, so...
Hey, spoiler. It's middle of the first issue.
Yeah.
But, Even so, I would give it probably around a B thing. Also, it's interesting, one thing that I really like, that they're doing kind of a Manchurian Candidate sort of thing with regards to Warden Sharp, and, well, Mayor Sharp now, and him really being sort of manipulated and controlled by Professor Strange. Did Hugo Strange, was he ever a doctor? I'm pretty sure he used to be a doctor.
So, I mean, he's a doctor.
They call him Professor Strange. He's never taught anything. There's nothing to indicate that he has taught anything or had a professorship at any sort of university. I like being able to call him the other Doctor Strange. Sort of like the forgotten little cousin who no one cares about.
How about Hugo Strange DFA or something? Well, not DFA, that's fine arts. DP. Like, what is D Therapeutic Sciences? I don't know.
MD?
Yeah.
Since he's a practicing psychiatrist.
Is psychiatrist medicine? Is that MD?
They can prescribe medicine, so I think you need a medical degree to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, overall, would you recommend Arkham City?
The comic?
Yeah.
Only if you're planning to get the games, or if you're planning to get Arkham City the game, then yes, I do recommend it. But if not, then it's a skip.
I would say it's dependent on you, but I would say definitely take some time to think about it, because the main thing that's really turning me off is the price. I mean, not that I think it's a bad thing to read, not that I think you shouldn't read it, if you're planning on getting the game, or if you're kind of interested in the game, if you need something to pass the time until the game comes out, which is going to be in a few days, so I don't know how much time we really need. But for now, I would say, and it's that they're releasing the hardcover, like, because the series came out over the summer. I could picture reading that as it came out. I did, but getting the collected edition now, it's nice. It's got a hardcover.
It's got the digital issues.
Yeah, so that's some nice filler. It's got the concept art, but overall, I'm still not sure if it's worth $23.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, I would be hesitant. So, at the same time, perhaps if you're going to devote your money toward only one thing, it might be best advised just to get the game. Because if you're reading this book, you would probably end up getting the game anyway, or if you end up not getting the game, then it would have been a waste of getting the book.
Yeah, you don't need the comic to understand the game.
But you need the game to understand the comic.
Yeah.
Well, not to understand, but to resolve the comic.
It is purely a companion piece.
Watch the comic, watch the game, not resolve any of the thematic issues brought up in the comic at all.
Oh,
it's a completely different game. Paul Dini had no idea what they were doing. He just made up his own thing. No one at DC read it. They just like, Hugo Strange is barely even in the game.
Hugo Strange gets like killed off in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, by the true villain, like the Mad Hatter or something.
Who is in the game, by the way?
Everyone's in the game.
Everyone's in the
Mad
game.
Hatter. I was like really when he told me that Deadshot was in the game, which I read on his Facebook account. Now I hate like spoilers. Even finding out who's in the game, just kind of I like to be surprised, kind of. But Deadshot's like one of my favorite characters ever. So. Oh my. And speaking of Deadshot, we will be getting to the number 2s from this week.
Yeah. Actually, very soon time. And before we end, I want to mention that we should have some... we're getting the game a day early at Toys R Us. The Toys R Us in Times Square, New York, is having a kind of a launch event on Monday the 17th. And we both were lucky enough to be one of the first 100 to get... You have your ticket on you?
Yeah, I used it as a bookmark.
Yeah, we were both...
Apparently on number 13.
Yeah, we were both lucky enough
he was number 9.
Yeah, to do that in time.
So we're meeting Jim Lee, Kevin Conroy, and Stephen Hall. So we will have our game a day early, and as soon as we get it, we're going to be putting up a thing on it here. So stay tuned for that, and also if he ever finishes reading them, we will get to the issue 2s. I'll give you a hint. I did not like Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And with that, I think we are going very long, so let's say goodbye.
See ya.